Hey, so what's up guys, it's Tyler. Today I'm going to be talking about if you should major in computer science. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, like the video. I post every Thursday. Now, let's talk about it. Should you major in computer science? Well, I mean, if it was me, it's an obvious answer, you know. I'm currently majoring in computer science, but it's not for everybody. Some people might like it, some people might not like it. I think the biggest obstacle into getting into computer science is the science classes that come with them. A lot of people aren't prepared and they don't know if they're really capable of completing these types of classes. All I'm gonna say to that is anybody can really do it, okay? When I came to college, I was placed in elementary algebra. You know, I was placed in the bottom math class. Along with that, I was placed in the bottom English class. I'm just trying to encourage and motivate you guys and say anybody can do it, you know. So yeah, I was placed in all remedial classes. It was called Intro to College Writing. It was elementary algebra and algebra. Am I saying that right? Algebra. That's not sounding right to me. Algebra? I'm going on. Anyways, you guys know what I'm trying to say. That was my first semester of college, and my first semester of college is I wasn't even majoring in computer science because I was scared of math. I was scared of science because, you know, I didn't know anything about it. I couldn't do x squared equals 4. I wouldn't be able to solve for x in that kind of equation. If you can't solve for that either, do not worry, because I was in your shoes, and I mean, now I'm in calculus 2, I'm in physics that requires calculus, and I'm getting A's in these classes, getting B's in the physics. I don't want to talk about it, but it is what it is. Anyways, yeah, so if you're feeling discouraged about not wanting to get started because you're placed so low in math, you're placed so low in English or any kind of class, just don't worry about it. Don't think about the big picture and just take each class one step at a time. Okay, I'm going to be breaking this video up into a few pieces so you can really get a feel on if you should. And I'm going to be talking about the classes you are going to be taking if you are planning on majoring in computer science, the hardest classes out of these classes, like which ones are the hard ones that you need to be like prepared for, and thirdly, just like an overall sense of everything. Now, starting off, if you're majoring in computer science, you're going to have to be taking a lot of calculus. So there's going to be, depending on where you go to school, I'm currently living in California, so for me it might be different for you, but for me, I have to go through the complete calculus series. And what that is I need to do calculus 1, I need to do calculus 2, and I need to do calculus 3. So I have to completely do calculus. After I do that, I need to do differential equations and linear algebra. And that is basically all of the math you're going to need for this degree. Along with math, you're going to have to be taking physics. Physics is going to be calculus-based physics, and it's going to be 3 different categories. We're going to be doing kinematics, we're going to be doing electricity and magnetism, and then the last one is just heat waves and modern physics. Now, this might sound like a lot, but I personally find it fun to learn new stuff, and hopefully you do too, and if you don't, eventually you will, hopefully. But yeah, so take each class one step at a time, and if it's something that you really want to do, it's going to be no problem. Anybody can do this type of stuff. If you think calculus is way too hard and there's no way you can get a passing grade in it, then clearly you're just in too high of a math class at that point. Just kind of go back a math class, go back to algebra, go back to elementary algebra, kind of just work up that foundation so you can pass your calculus class, so you can go on further and just keep applying what you learned in your previous classes. It's really gonna be no problem as long as you actually try. Now for physics, this class is brutal. Okay, this class is brutal. If you have a good GPA, physics is definitely gonna ruin that for you. It's just how it is, you know. Don't worry too much about it. Physics is notorious for being hard, and do the best you can. As I was saying, there's kinematic, there's electricity and magnetism, and there is heat waves. I'm currently in kinematics, so I'm in 1 out of 3. I personally only need 2 out of 3 to transfer because I'm at community college, but that's a lot of unneeded information. So I guess the overall thing you need to know is to major in computer science, you're going to be needing 5 upper division math classes. Is that the word for them? I don't know if they're called upper division, but basically you're gonna need college algebra, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, and then differential equations and linear algebra. Sometimes differential equations and linear algebra are broken up into 2 separate classes, and sometimes you only need one or the other. For me at my college, they do have both of them combined, but yeah. Now physics, you need kinematics, you need magnetism and electricity, and you need heat waves and modern physics. And that's basically going to be all of your hard classes. There's going to be, clearly you're going to have to be taking general requirements as well. But I mean, if you're a STEM major, I don't like to say it, but I mean, we're built a little bit differently. Okay, no, I take that back. Like literally, I don't think you're gonna have that hard of a time in history or that hard of a time in English or business. You're not gonna be taking business classes. That was just me. But I don't think those classes are really that difficult or that deterring for other people. So let's just bunch them up as in the general education. I guess the one out of that general education that was difficult for me was biology. Biology is just difficult in general. It's not horribly difficult, but for me, it was just a lot of memorization. It was so much. I pulled through though. Yeah, I'm clearly not even talking about the computer science classes themselves because I think that's a given. Clearly, you're going to be taking data structures and programming and assembly language and all of that stuff, but that's a given. At my college at least, all of these computer science classes are easy. They're not deterring at all. They're there. So far in what you heard, physics and calculus is going to be the biggest one. It's preventing a lot of people from coming into this major or any STEM major. No. Now let's talk about what classes are notoriously hard when it comes to majoring in computer science. And of course, like calculus as a whole is like difficult, and physics as a whole is difficult, but more specifically, I want to talk about which ones out of those categories are actually very difficult. So for instance, out of the calculus classes, calculus 2 is going to be your hardest class. Calculus 1 and calculus 3 are not as hard as calculus 2, but let me add something to that is I'm actually only currently in calculus 2. So I haven't experienced calculus 3 yet, but everybody I talked to, I've talked to countless people about it, and I think anybody will agree with me that calculus 2 is the hardest class. Now, differential equations and linear algebra, that one's clearly hard. I mean, the name doesn't even sound that appealing. It's going to be difficult. So yeah, out of calculus, just prepare for calculus 2. Now, for physics, the hardest one is going to be the kinematics one, the very first one you take. At least that's along, like I need to back up a bit and say I am only in this one as well, but I talked to a lot of people. I don't like to brag, I guess I'm Mr. Popular, but no, really. I talked to a lot of people about it so I can kind of get a sense on what this compares to like other classes, and this is just what I hear. So it's going to be the mechanics, physics : mechanics. Basically, it just deals with kinematics, you know, like a ball moving, it has friction or rotational motion. That's going to be the hardest one. And calculus 2 is just a lot of integrals. There's going to be series and sequences. In my class, we did touch a little bit on differential equations, but I think the concepts are just kind of difficult. Depending on what your teacher is capable of too, or who your teacher is as a person, it can really change how difficult that class is. I guess this is just something I'm going to quickly throw out there too, is if you want to make sure you get a good professor, you need to go to ratemyprofessor.com. Look up any professor before you take them, and it really gives you a good sense about the professor. I've done that for all of mine, and it really works. It has helped me out drastically, and I could not pick classes without that website. Now, going on, I guess the last part I really just want to touch on is anybody can do this. It's not hard. Okay, let me take that back. It's achievable if you're determined. Okay, you need to be disciplined and determined. If it's something you want, you'll have it. Okay, it's just a matter of time. Just stay motivated, don't give up, and once again, anybody can do it. I started in elementary algebra and I started in intro to college writing. If you don't know what that means, is I'll talk about every math class I took to get to where I'm at now, and it went elementary algebra, it went to intermediate algebra, and then I went to college algebra, then I went to trigonometry, and then I took calculus, and now I'm in calculus 2. So I really started at the bottom math class, and I hope that encourages you to see that anybody can do it. But yeah, don't worry about it. If math is too difficult for you, I really encourage that you kind of take a step back, go back a class, go back 2 classes, and make sure you get a good foundation, because it's going to be important going on. So I guess the biggest thing about majoring in computer science or any STEM field for that case, just stay determined, stay motivated, and anybody can do it. So I mean, if you made it this far, thank you. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe, hit the like. Next week, I'm going to be doing a 2-day in the life of a computer science and software developer. I'm going to be showing you a school day, and I'm going to be showing you a work day. So stay tuned for that, and thank you.